the fact that I've really learned, and I believe this, is that resilience does not come from knowing more. Resilience does not come overnight. Resilience comes with intention, realizing what self-love really is. Is it being able to sit through yourself without judgment? Is it the fact that we find self-worth knowing that we belong, knowing that I belong, even when we are questioned whether we belong or not, right? And it's just that realization, and that then trusting yourself, listening to our inner voice when the noise around us can be very loud. Hello, welcome to my very first episode of Maleeha Shahid Speaks. I'm going to just say this, Shrini at Perspective Studio, thank you so much for having me and for the patience that you have for me, because I could be someone to require a lot of patience to be with me. I appreciate it. But let's dive in. And I appreciate all of you tuning in and listening to what I have to say. This episode, or my podcast, is about belonging. It's about really embracing yourself and knowing yourself a little better. And I've been thinking about doing this particular podcast, or just starting the initiative, for many, many years. But I also wanted to do it in a meaningful way where the right intention is there. And that is exactly why I'm doing it today with Shiri here, I feel that this is the right time to just speak my mind and just be real and be human. So if you resonate, this is for you. It's not about answers, because I don't have any answers, but it is not about perfection or performance or sharing any expertise in any way. Because honestly, I, just like you, I am who I am, and I am dissecting through this life that we have with honesty, reflection, and staying human. Especially when life itself, leadership, and the world around us makes it really hard to exist some days. And so this is the space for all of us who are thinking deeply of who we are and how we show up in the world, and what it means to live, lead with integrity, and during these uncertain times. So who am I? I am Maleeha Shahid. I wear many, many hats. I'm a public servant. I am a mother to my 3 children, a wife to 1 husband, thank God. I pretend that I'm an artist because when world gets very noisy, I pick up my paintbrushes and start painting. And I'm just saying pretend, not in a ha-ha way. I feel that I still have to realize the fact that when I pick up the paintbrushes and I start painting, it definitely calms me. It definitely brings more meaning in the time that I spend with myself painting. So I am someone who has spent a lot of time learning, unlearning, and relearning, and really trusting who I am to myself. And in the public service that I am, I serve as a municipal counselor in municipal government, and I've spent a lot of time in rooms where decisions are made, where decisions are made for people and communities and systems and our futures, basically. And I've spent years and quiet moments into figuring it out, who I am, going through self-doubt and absorbing criticism, and trying to make sense how public life and the way that I interact and figuring out my own personal identity. So during this time, I really feel that the titles that we hold really do not protect ourselves. Your self-doubt is your self-doubt. Is that how you feel? And success really doesn't silence our inner critic, which can be loud some days. And real leadership, this is what I feel, that real leadership often requires the inner work before we ever show up in the outside world. But in a perfect world, you've done that work and then you show up in the world as a leader. But in reality doesn't happen. I think the work is hand in hand, and that's how I feel about it. So that's how the podcast was really born, with the fact that I really wanted to hash out my learning, unlearning, and relearning right in front of you, mic'd up right in front of this camera while Shireen is also listening here. So I started this podcast with that intention. Um, and starting this missing conversation that we don't hear from a lot of us, missing peace in leadership, missing peace in politics, and personal growth. So, what is this missing piece? I believe it is about strategy, about the outcomes, productivity, and the optics. What we don't talk, and maybe we do, but not enough, it is what is the cost of keep going? How does it feel when we feel misunderstood? What happens when our values are tested in real time? And actually, how easy it is to lose ourselves while trying to do the right thing. So if you really think about all of these questions that maybe some of us are asking every day, I ask myself the same thing. I've read countless books, I've talked to many people, and I've read countless books, hundreds of books in the last 3 years, while being on the journey of writing my own book, which is right now in the publishing process. And I've read the books on mindset, I've read books on leadership, resilience, democracy, human behavior, so much more. I've read it again and again and again. The fact that, and probably the same realization, how do we reflect in the outer world, and also living in our own inner world? So what I'm trying to say here is the fact that sometimes we don't even know who we are. Not that I'm having an identity crisis, but the fact of it is, how do we trust ourselves? When we are really challenged, how do we trust ourselves? How do we feel worthy of being at those tables where decisions are made? How do we find the love for ourselves into realizing that we are enough, right? We often ask that question, and I have asked that question quite literally, and embracing that vulnerability. I am enough, am I? Right? And that's what it is. That's why I would like to bring those out, put it out in the open, and do the real inner work, and not separate it from the public life that I lead. One of the most important lessons I've learned, and I've learned it through books, through lived experience, through painful moments of growth, and the fact that I've really learned, and I believe this, is that resilience does not come from knowing more. Resilience does not come overnight. Resilience comes with intention, realizing what self-love really is. Is it being able to sit through yourself without judgment? Is it the fact that we find self-worth knowing that we belong, knowing that I belong, even when we are questioned whether we belong or not, right? It's just that realization, and that then trusting yourself, listening to our inner voice when the noise around us can be very loud. So I believe that inner work came at a time when I was really challenged. I was pushed to think about, now what, right? And it was at the time where I will expand when it was the time, because I think listeners would like to know when was that time. But I didn't always have these things. I had to build my personal growth slowly, imperfectly, and often through failures. And those failures was perhaps an election that I didn't win, or a disappointed email that I received from someone, or the social media chatter that we hear often where people have questioned me or just put something out there. these are the moments when I have let other people's opinions live rent free in my head. Moments when I have replayed conversations over and over again in my head and put scenarios out there. What if I said this? Or what if I reacted this way? When I questioned my intentions, when I wondered if I was enough, right? And I know that I'm not alone at this. I know that. And that's why I want to put out there, this conversation is for anyone who's felt that tension between who we are and how the world expects us to be, right? So I'm going to be reflecting on many, many things, bringing in people who will be talking about everyday lives and how they have changed their lives, or what is it that they do which is unique, and how we can just learn from everyone. Because I feel the fact that it's about offering a language, an insight, and a perspective so we can all make sense of how we can lead our own journey. So if you're navigating leadership, change, identity, or uncertainty, I invite you that this is a space for you. I hope that what I'm creating right now is a place you return when you need grounding, when you need the reassurance that you simply need to remember that you're not alone in trying to figure things out. And it's okay. It's okay when you don't have anything figured out, when you feel the fact that life is challenging. But let's take those baby steps in trusting that we have that trust in us and that worth in us to do better, or just keep on going, but with intention of the fact that we need to show up for ourselves and be kind to ourselves. Show us the love first that we want to show out to the outside world. And I will continue these conversations. You can follow me for future episodes, interact with me, subscribe, follow, like, however it works. But share with me what you feel. Share with me so we can continue this journey together, and perhaps maybe make this meaningful for ourselves and for the others. So I invite you in this space. I welcome you to come. Let's navigate life together. Let's navigate leadership, identity, uncertainty, and feel free to pass this episode along. Sometimes the most meaningful support that we can do for ourselves is share our learning together. Let's learn, let's unlearn, and let's relearn. Thank you for joining me. Please join me in the next episode. Welcome. Thank you again for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. But please, if you can, leave a comment. Let me know how you're feeling. I really want to know what's going on. Let's hash it together.